So now we're going to make this part of the toy. This is like a collar of the toy. It also makes it look like a wearable that it's wearing. So let's get started with that. To make that, you're going to do a magic circle. Chain 1. Into the magic circle, make 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Close it down. Now, into the very first chain, into only the back loop, make 2 single crochet. Into each of the next 5 single crochet, only in the back loops, you're going to make 2 more single crochet. 2 single crochet into the back loops of each single crochet. Now you do that and I'll show you what to do next. Now once you have your 12 single crochets done, what you're going to do is into the next back loop, make a slip knot and then close in your work, just like this. Now what we're going to do now is that we're going to chain 2 into each of the next single crochets. We're going to do 3 double crochets. So this chain of 3 counts as my first double crochet. Yarn over, go into the loop, into the first loop, pull up a loop, yarn around, go through 2 loops, yarn around and go through 2 loops. So now this is like 2 double crochet. Into the same, you're going to do 1 more double crochet. Into each of the next stitches, only in the back loops, you're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Again, into the next single crochet, into the back loop only. 1, 2, and 3. This is what you're going to do. You're going to do 3 double crochet into each of the next stitches, only into the back loops. Finish it off and then I'll meet you. At the end of this round, you should be having a total of 36 double crochet. Now at the very end of this stitch, you're going to do a slip knot and close your work. This is what you need to have. Now let's start with this part of the toy. So take your yarn, start with the chain, make 8 single crochet. Into the second chain, so like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Drop the 8th chain into the next chain or the second chain, make a single crochet. Into each of the next 6 stitches, we're going to make a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 6. chain 1, into the first single crochet, make a single crochet, into the second one, a single, and into each of your next stitches, all of them, make a single crochet. So in total you're going to have 7 single crochets in a row. Just like that. With this toy here, I've made a mistake. Now I'm going to share my mistake with you all. What mistake I did when I was designing this piece was, I did my single crochets only into the back loops, thinking that I would achieve a texture. But when I was stitching it on the ring, the texture didn't work out as I thought. In fact, I now think that this is going to look more defined onto the piece. So now what I would like to tell you is that I'm going to be doing 14 rows of this. But if you want to cover the whole of your ring, you need to make it longer. But if you don't want to make it as much as I did, then you're going to do it smaller. Then you need to do less rows. It completely depends upon you. This is customizable. You can make it as per your preference. I'm going to do a total of 14 or 15 rows maybe, and then I'm going to show you how you're going to stitch it up on the ring itself. Okay, I finished off my piece at exactly 14 rows and I have just completed knotting it here, and then I have threaded my yarn onto a yarn needle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ring, put it inside just like this, and then I will be stitching it up together. You can always crochet and stitch this up, but I like to use my needle to stitch this up because I think that it gives a better finishing. Now while I'm stitching this up, I just need to tell you this, that if you're using a smaller ring, make sure that the length of your stitched piece should be a little bit less, or if you want to make it a bit wider, it's totally up to you. Whatever you want to do with this, you can do. You can also decorate it with beads, but I would prefer, if you're using a little toy piece for your baby, don't use any minute things. Like for the eyes, you can always go for, ready-made stick-on eyes, but I thought that that would just leave off, or your baby might chew on it, which is not good for the baby. And then let's start with the stitching part. I hope I made sense. So this is where my thread is coming off. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go into the very first chain. Then take your needle, go in this way and pull. Needle, go into, stitch it up. Chain to chain. Make sure you're doing that. I like to use the same yarn to stitch up my work. Some people like to use cotton thread to sew it up. It's totally up to you. Stitch it up. Complete it to the very end and I'll show you how to tie it off. Once you're done with the stitching, I'm going to tie off my thread. So I'm going to go into one of the stitches and then, just like in embroidery, I'm going to stitch this up. Pull on it, make it tighter. And then to hide your thread, just go into some of those stitches and then trim this off. You're going to do the exact same with this thread. and then you're gonna just pull this out, and you see you've covered half of the circle. So that's just it. So now we're going to join this one into this piece. So I have threaded my needle to this part of the piece, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into some of those pieces and come out right here in between the piece. Hide your thread as much as you can. Now to join this part to the top of my piece right here, what I'm going to do is so you're going to take this part, and into the middle point I'm going to stitch this up exactly like this. Make sure that it's sturdy. Go inside into the other side, and here you're going to do the same thing. Stitch this up. So what basically I did was I joined this part here and this part here. If you want, you can always make it more sturdier by stitching this part here and this part here. At 4 points you're going to stitch this up, okay? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to now stitch this part here. And then go around into the other side. And stitch this part here. Some people also like to use some glue for some extra support, but I don't think that's useful. So if you want to add in a little bit of a fabric glue here, you can always do that, but it doesn't need. If you make it sturdy enough, you just don't need it, okay? So like, I like it this way because it gives a very cute finishing and it's always very pretty. See? In this way. So this is how you're going to do it. Let it sit. Yeah, one thing I forgot to tell you is that make sure when you're stitching it, let the right side be on top and the back side be stitched to this piece. So reinforce your work, make it more sturdy, and then in the next video series we're going to learn how to make or how to assemble the whole piece together.